you'll never make money playing poker. And this is why.
It's an ace!
It is the ace.
Called a race with a...
10 of clubs.
He called a race with queen 10, honey.
I know, honey. He's some online guy.
I had a set. He's supposed to bust me anyway. Called a race with a queen 10.
Since the moneymaker boom in the early 2000s, poker has been on an absolute tear. And over this last year alone, poker has ballooned to an over $86 billion valuation, with the projection in 2032 looking at somewhere near $300 billion. It's pretty remarkable when you put things into perspective, and it's pretty easy to see that the pie is quite large. So you don't really need that big of a slice to make a decent living. From the inception of poker, there have always been winners and losers in the game. The only difference between then and now is that the gap between the winners and the losers is quickly diminishing. This, coupled with other things like rake increasingly larger, which makes the pots you win increasingly smaller, the variance that is involved in poker, and the sheer emotional toll that all of this takes on you, poker's one hell of a difficult job.
You could be the 6th best poker player in the world, but if you're sitting with the other 5 every day, you're just the sucker.
DNEG says it absolutely best here. It doesn't matter how good you actually are, it just matters how good the game you're in actually is. It sounds ridiculous and almost counterintuitive, but it no longer matters how good you are at poker. It's really important that you're smart about your bankroll and a lot of other factors. I think it's prudent if you want to become a successful poker player. If you ever want to touch 6 figures in your career, you have to do the following things, and you have to do them really well. Game selection is a must. It goes without being said, you've got to be really good at knowing when the game sucks and when to leave. Although most people think, hey, if I just put in 60, 80, 90 hours a week playing poker, eventually things will even out and I'll do okay. That's the furthest thing from the truth. I'd never spend my time playing in a game that isn't good. I don't care how soft the game might be if there's one like halfway bad player, but in my opinion, there's no space for it. Save your time, save your energy, and save the variance, I guess, for a better spot. The other thing that I think is super important and that almost no one ever talks about is get your mental checked out. I understand if you don't have the funds or the capability or just don't have the care to see a therapist, but just check on that little guy upstairs every now and then. Poker is an unbelievably emotionally draining game, and it can do a lot to this thing. I know for a fact for myself, and I've made a ton of videos talking about it, how difficult it's been for me. I feel like I could play poker for the rest of my life. The only thing that I'm worried about is my mental well-being and how that affects my day-to-day life and how I interact with other people in my life. It's super important that as a poker player, you take the time and you make the effort to cleanse that shit up top, because I'm not going to tell you to turn into a yogi and start crisscross applesauce and all that stuff and licking frogs, but I think it's really important for you to make the effort to keep that thing in check and make the effort to enjoy the other things in life that aren't poker related. The third thing that I feel like almost no one ever talks about as well is knowing when to leave. Getting away from the table is super important. At the beginning, when you're first getting your roll started, I know people are going to disagree and they're going to tell me some kind of mathematical equation that makes it so what I'm saying doesn't make sense, but take this from somebody that knows. I've played poker for the last 11 years for money, and I've made it a profession for quite a large portion of that. Believe it or not, I wish that I just got away from the table earlier for a ton of sessions. It's easy to say that retroactively, but it goes without being said. Whenever you hit a lick, whenever you hit a really big win really early in a session, I don't advocate hitting and running, but when you're first building your bankroll and you're playing really tiny stakes, man, it sounds ridiculous and maybe I'm screwed up for saying this, but you don't got a lot of money in the bank, you don't have a large bankroll, just take your winnings and live to fight another day. I can't state how difficult it has been for me to get away from the table, even knowing that the game's really good after I have a really nice winning. One, because I feel bad, or two, the most important thing is mentally, I just lose it. After 3.5, 4 hours, I noticed very obviously that I'm just no longer the same player I was when I first started. It's very important that you stay in tune with that, and you remember, you've got to bring your best when you come play the game. If not, in a matter of seconds, you lose all of it. From the many lists that you can see in front of me, you can see clearly that there are still winners in the game of poker. A big thank you to everyone on Instagram. You can follow me at Close to Broke if you're interested. They sent all of these in. I asked you guys for a ton of input, so that's a good place if you guys want to catch up to me on the regular, and yeah, it's a good idea. As I mentioned, you can see there's still some winners in the game. There's definitely some space for you to find success, but it's very important. It's the end-all be-all that if you want to make it in poker, you've got to put in the work. Studying is a must. There's just no way around it. You've got to be good at poker. But once you got that and a good grasp on that, I can't stress it enough. The other things that we mentioned on today's video and things that I haven't heard many other people mention are what are going to separate you from being a small 20 to 30,000 a year winner to easily crushing the six figures. So in my humble opinion, you can easily make six figures playing poker, and that's going to tie in pretty well with a series that I have going on for the 2025 year. Again, a big thank you to everyone that's watched today's video. It was short. I hope you guys liked it though. My goal is to add a layer of transparency and to let you guys know that the poker dream is still there. It's still there to be had, but it's only going to be there if you're willing to change the things that you're accustomed to seeing. Being a decent player isn't good enough anymore. Like, you're just going to get eaten up by the rake, and that's just God's honest truth. And beyond that, wasting your time in games that suck. If you're a small-time grinder that plays like 2, 3, and 5, you can do a lot better with your time, especially on the emotional side. And although there's no way that I can prove that, I can say from personal experience, that'll go a significantly longer way in positively impacting your hourly than sitting down and playing a shit game because you think that racking a couple of hours and grinding up that 5 big blinds an hour is a good thing. It's food for thought. Anyways, if you haven't already, I really recommend you guys check out the link at the top of the description. There are only a few days left if you guys want to be involved in the WPT $5 million free roll. It's guaranteed. Every single person that plays in there is getting a free ticket in. $2.5 thousand is what that's worth. The first place prize will be over $1 million. It's going to be unbelievable. I'm super excited for you guys to come by. I'll see you there. I'm going to be there. I hope you're going to be there as well. It's a free roll. It's absolutely free. There's no gimmick. All you have to do is sign up down below. No credit card, none of that nonsense. Just sign up and you'll be entered to win. And because this is a small channel, the whole Close to Broke community, we have an easier chance and a better chance at winning the seat. So good luck to you all there. We'll see you guys on the next video.